What's up, my dudes? My name is Sister Turley, and in this video I'm just going to be talking about how I found dirt bikes and how I got into motocross. So I feel like my story is completely different from pretty much everybody else out there, so I didn't really have the normal storyline. Like, I grew up in it and my family was into motocross and I got into it as a kid and all this kind of stuff. I wish I would have, but it just didn't happen that way. I kind of had to find motocross on my own, if that makes any sense. So what happened was, I don't know, as a kid, I guess I just never really got into it. I don't know. It's like I never seen motocross when I was a kid. I don't know why I never did. I don't know if my parents tried to kind of keep it away from me because they knew how dangerous it was, or what happened, but either way, I guess I just never really seen it, or never really had anybody around, like friends or anybody that really rode or anything. So it wasn't that I didn't like motocross, it was just I'd never really seen it before. If I would have seen it when I was a kid, I would have been like, wow, that is cool, dude. So I don't know, I just never seen it. But what happened was, when I was about 14 or 15, if any of you guys know, if you've been 14 or 15 before, as a guy, you would know what I'm talking about right here. You're pretty much, that's that age where you're like into everything, whether it be like a paintball gun or go-karts or a car, or that's like the real age where you grow up out of the kind of the little baby toys, I guess you could call it, and you're kind of getting up to the more grown up, like the cars and the paintball guns and all that kind of stuff. So what happened was one day I was in school, and some dude, I was at the point in my life where I was like, all right, Spencer, you got to be done doing all of this kind of stuff. I really wanted to just stick to one thing and get really good at that one thing, and that was kind of my plan. And somehow, that one kind of day that I was thinking about all that, some random dude in class was like, he was talking about like his brother was really good at riding a dirt bike or something, and I don't know how I heard it, and then it just kind of clicked, and I was like, oh, dude, wouldn't that be sick to be good on a dirt bike? And just remember, I've never really even knew dirt bikes. I mean, I knew they existed, but it's hard to explain my story because I know most of you guys grew up with it in your family and practically came out of the womb whipping and flipping. So it's kind of hard for you guys to understand it, but for me, it was like I just never even knew it existed until all of a sudden somebody was like, oh, hey, my brother's really good at riding a dirt bike. So it just kind of, combined with me wanting to be really good at one thing, and then that day, like, the stars just aligned and everything just worked out. And from there on, man, it was my life changed, and that's all I can say, man. I don't know what I would do without it nowadays. I don't know how I lived without it back then, but it was pretty much the craziest kind of thing I think anybody has done as far as learning motocross and then getting into it. I mean, it's a crazy story because it's not like I just seen it on TV or something. It just somehow, motocross avoided me until I was 14 or 15, and then I just somehow found it. So it was crazy like that. But so then at that point I started watching, Travis Pastrana videos, and then I was hooked. I mean, any of you motocrossers know it's in your blood forever. I mean, I hope there's dirt bikes in heaven. I mean, it's a for life and beyond kind of thing. If I'm not playing a dirt bike video game, I'm riding in real life. If I'm not riding in real life, I'm playing a dirt bike video game. So I'm doing something motocross every single day, and that's crazy to think that at one time I never really even knew what it was. But so yeah, that was kind of my story. And so then I got a CRF 230, which is like a street and trail, which I guess I just got that to kind of learn on. But eventually it just kind of got to the point where it wasn't really popping off for me. The suspension was no good on that bike. So what I was doing was I didn't really know anything about motocross. I just knew it was cool, and I was like, yeah, dude, I need to start doing this. So what I did was I just started riding in my backyard, which is about 3 acres, and I literally just made a track with my dirt bike, if you know what I'm saying. Some of you guys probably know exactly what I'm saying. Like, I built berms and ruts with my back tire, bro, like straight up. So I pretty much did that, just rode billions of laps in my backyard, kind of figured it out like that. And I have a pool in my backyard where it's kind of got little built up areas around the pool. So of course I had to start jumping all that. And then kind of got to that point, and then kind of got to where I mastered the yard after like a year, and just, you know, that my bike wasn't cutting it anymore. Then I started figuring out real life tracks, and then I got a 125, then I got a 250F, then I got a 252 stroke, and then, which all those were older bikes, and then I just recently got a brand new YZ250F, and so yeah, I paid for it, so don't freak out and think, oh, his daddy just buys him everything. That's not how it works, man. I worked hard for it, and definitely proud of it. So it's one of those things that just, man, motocross is an expensive thing, and it's just so expensive, man, when it comes to the gear, and then everything about it is so expensive. But you got to think about it like you would be spending that money on another hobby. I mean, motocross practically takes over your life. It's really the only hobby you need. So, I mean, even though it does take a lot of money, it's still, like, I would rather put my money in this than waste it on something else, if that makes any sense. But, yeah, so that's kind of what I did. And, yeah, man, motocross, it kind of stays with you forever, man. There's really no breaking that bond, I can promise you. So, but yeah, tons of fun. There's just nothing more fun than a dirt bike. When you think about just the basic elements of it, how a dirt bike is, it's really just a rocket ship that can fly, that can pretty much ride on anything. So that's pretty much like the definition of fun. So, and it's pretty cheap on how fun a dirt bike is. It's actually pretty cheap in the grand scheme of things. I mean, it's giving you the thrill of skydiving or flying in a plane or something, but you're not having to spend all that money. So it's, I don't know, dirt bikes are like the ultimate thrill, but also skill, but tracks always change. There's so many cool things that I love about motocross and supercross and the whole bit, but it takes all the muscles on a dirt bike. It's not just like soccer, you're using your feet and stuff. I mean, you use pretty much everything on a dirt bike, and it's the perfect mix between like mechanical but also physical. It's not like racing in a car where it's a little bit more mechanical than it is physical. It's not like riding a bicycle where it's more physical than it is mechanical. It's like that perfect balance, that perfect like machine, but also it's physical at the same time. And I know everybody and their grandmother says this, but it's the most physical demanding sport I've ever done before, and it just is. And it's, most people just think, oh, you're turning the throttle and it just goes, but they have absolutely no idea. And I just, you know, let that go in one ear and out the other, because obviously they've never rode a dirt bike if they're saying that. Because I promise you, if you ride an actual race on a dirt bike and you go out to a real life, it's different riding in the yard or like just kind of riding in a straight line or something. But when you go out to a prep track and have to ride practice and race two motos, and like, it will kill you if you've not done it before, just because it works so many muscles that you didn't even know you had. And it can definitely be a shocker when you don't realize how it's not just as easy as driving a car. It's a lot more like, you know, riding like a bicycle, but it's a rocket at the same time. So it's like you got a ton of speed, so you got to hang on to it, but it's physical at the same time. But I just love everything about motocross. So anyways, so that's kind of my story on how I found it, but I kind of had to find it. It didn't really find me. I guess technically it kind of found me eventually, but I guess now that I think about it, it kind of found me instead of me. You know, I didn't see it on TV and then get into it that way, or I didn't, you know, do something. It kind of found me in a weird way, where randomly some dude was talking about it one day that I was wanting to get good at something, and somehow all that aligned in one way that now that I'm just so addicted to it, it's ridiculous. So, but anyways, I appreciate all you watching these videos, and I'll keep on making them.